HARK! We are here. It is time for yet another episode of Regroup Phase. We've had 3 of these in a row. It's been a while since I've done a tournament report, but the UKGE had 3 separate events that had large player bases, over 100 players in each event. So we're going to go over each event individually, check out some deck lists, check out some cool things, some metagame responses. The Brits like their Bobas, and Boba is in full representation here. So let's get right to it. Starting off here, we have the first event, which took place on Friday, May 31st. It featured 121 total players. There's a bunch of drops here at the end of this listing here, but we're going to take a look quickly at the Swiss standings, the top cut, a couple of the interesting things about decks in here, and the metagame overall about each event as we do it. So we have here the list here. There were obviously 8 players that made it into top 8, 1 undefeated record here. Big O Nation on Boba Fett collecting the bounty 7-0. We had 6 6-1s. Boba Fett, Sabine Wren, Boba Fett, Darth Vader, and a Sabine Wren. And then we have one last person here also on a Boba Fett coming in at 5-2. One thing I do want to point out before we get into any specific huge information about the top 8 cut and the metagame overall, there is a Hera here at 15th place, who also scored 5-2. Unfortunately, very low on the opponent win percentage and the opponent's win percentage. But this was a double command Hera deck running a kind of a slattering of different interesting tech choices, not running the full amount of the Spectres that the deck normally wants to run. You are running R2-D2, a frontline shuttle in here, which is a very interesting choice, an Agent Callus, running an off aspect Luke Skywalker Jedi Knight, 2 of those, bunch of sideboard options here, 1 traitorous in the main board, 3 overwhelming, 3 U-wing reinforcement, 1 overwhelming barrage. A lot of interesting choices in terms of what is viable to play for off aspect choices. Again, Luke Skywalker, overwhelming barrage, a Bodhi Rook in the sideboard, which would cost him 7 to play, which is interesting. Props to Paul Dixon here, who decided to run Hera in the actual list. We can take a look to see what this Hera went up against. In round 1, a loss against Boba Fett collecting the bounty. We don't have specifically what each of these are in terms of bases at this window, but it's probably going to be either cunning or command. We have a win against Boba Fett here. This person did go 0-6 drop, so that's one of the reasons why Paul's tiebreakers were so low. We have a win against Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith, another win against Boba Fett, a win against Luke Skywalker, loss against Item Versio, which ended up going 5-2 but not making it into top cut. And then we have the last win against the Boba Fett, sending that person 4-3. So an interesting situation for Paul here. I respect the heck out of bringing Hera in there and doing as well as that person did. So metagame total, there were 30 Boba Fett decks, representing almost a quarter of the share of decks total. Win percentage at 53.7%. We have 18 Sabine Wren decks, 11 Darth Vader decks, 10 Item Versio, 9 Luke Skywalker, 8 Han Solo, 7 Direct Krennic, 6 Chirrut, 5 Emperor Palpatine, 5 Leia, 3 Tarkin, 3 Hera, 2 Grand Inquisitor, 1 Chewie, 1 IG-88, 1 Grand Admiral Thrawn, and 1 Cassian Andor. Notably, no Jyn Ersos. That's a problem. Top 8 cut had 5 Boba Fett's, 2 Sabines, 1 Darth Vader. And then we're looking at the standings here. We have here the players going into the list. You can see here, Michael O managed to win all 3 of his top cut matches to win the eventual tournament. The Sabine Wren losing in the finals against that player, since we have here Sebastian B against Michael O, and then the rest of these other players getting knocked out. So let's take a look at the winning list here. This is a Boba Cunning deck, running 3 Greedos, 3 Cartel Spacers, 3 Crafty Smugglers, 2 Outer Rim Headhunters. Interesting choice there. 2 Viper Probe Droids, 3 7th Fleet Defenders, 3 Bodhi Rook Imperial Defectors, 3 Boba Fett's, 3 Gamorrean Guards, 3 Cantina Bouncers, 3 Syndicate Lackeys main board. I like that a lot. 3 Fat Fire Spray, 3 No Good to Be Dead, 3 Surprise Strike, 2 Waylay, 3 Cunning, 2 Change of Heart, 3 Snapshot Reflexes, and then in the side deck, there's 2 Shoot First, 2 Mining Guild Tie, 2 Confiscate, 1 Outer Rim Headhunter, 1 Viper Probe Droid, 1 Swoop racer, and 1 bounty hunter crew. Lots of interesting choices here. I wonder if I can open this as an image. Yeah, lots of interesting choices here in terms of what this player chose to play in their main deck and in their sideboard. I love Snapshot Reflex's main board. I love Syndicate Lackeys. It looks like what this player really wanted to do was get their attacks through and make sure that they were effective attacks while still maintaining the Sentinels, the bounces, the hand controls, so on and so forth. Interestingly enough, no Spark of Rebellion anywhere. I've seen a lot of Boba Cunning players playing at least 2 of them in their sideboard, and also with Shoot First being in the sideboard, that's probably something that comes in and out for that Snapshot Reflexes or Change of Heart if the player doesn't need it. I'm noticing a lot of players moving away from Change of Heart. It is what it is, and that's what we have for this deck, which was actually pretty cool. Let's take a look at that Sabine deck, which I'm sure is a Sabine yellow. Sure enough let's take a look at this image here. We have Sabine, we have Chopper Base, 3 Spec Force Soldiers, 2 R2D2s, 3 Alliance X-Wings, 3 Green Squadron A-Wings, 3 Leia Organas, 3 Sabine Wrens, 1 Lethal Insurgent, 3 Falcons, 3 Red 3s, 3 Fleet Lieutenants, 2 Wing Leaders, 2 Rogue Operatives, 3 K2SOs, 2 Liberator Gunships, 1 Chewie, 2 Heroic Sacrifice, 3 Surprise Strike, 3 Sneak Attack, 2 Bamboozle, 3 for a cause I believe in main board, 2 Spark of Rebellions. You got to run them in your sideboard for that control matchup. Knock out your opponent's key card. Super important. 2 Wolf, stop healing for a round. 2 Disabling Fang Fighters. Get rid of those entrenched. Get rid of the lightsabers off your opponent's units. 1 Ezra Bridger, 1 Liberator Gunship, 1 Chewie, and 1 Black 1. Interesting style of deck here. I might pick this apart to run for my own version of Sabine Yellow, who has some interesting stuff. I have seen a lot of interesting information float around about different tech choices. Running Sneak Attack in the main board is something I've seen. Running Bamboozle in the main board is something I've seen. Chewie in the deck instead of running the Gorilla Attack Pod up at the high level because it does give you that protection with the Sentinel. 1 Lethal Insurgent to be able to discard a random card out of your opponent's hand and hope that that's something that's going to help you. Lots of interesting choices. So very interesting stuff there for the first event. Congratulations to Michael O on Boba Fett collecting the bounty. Let's take a look really quick here at that person's path into the event here. So we have here right off the bat losing against the Boba deck, but then going undefeated all the way through the rest of the tournament, defeating. We've got 3 Boba Fett's total here, 4 Sabines, 1 Han Solo, and a Darth Vader, which is pretty cool. Ended up losing to somebody who made it into the top cut, but eventually ended up beating that player in top 4 for top cut, which is fantastic. Always got to get that revenge win back in. Didn't really need to worry too much about the tiebreakers themselves because they ended up at 6-1 going into the top cut. So you don't have to worry about this person dropping here for the win or anything else that comes as a result of that. But once again, congratulations to Michael O on Boba Fett Cunning for your win on day 1 of UKGE's Convention Hysteria events. Next up, we have the second event, Saturday, June 1st, over there at UKGE. This event had a grand total of 128 players, so more than Friday. And we ended up with no 5-2s making it into top 8. 1 undefeated player at 7-0 on Boba Fett, and then 7 6-1s on Boba Fett, Han Solo, Boba Fett, Iden Versio, Han Solo, and Iden Versio. So 2 Idens, 3 Hans, 3 Bobas. Interesting set there. I didn't really notice any off the top leaders up here in the top. We've got a lot of people expect Emperor Palpatine to do a lot, so that's not really off much like it is. But we have here a 4-3 on IG-88. So that's an interesting representation there. Taking a look at the metagame as a whole, we have in Swiss, there was 25 Boba Fett's, a almost 1/5 share of what's going on, a 55% win percentage, 56 technically, 21 Sabines, 16 Hans, 14 Vaders, 9 Krennics, 8 Leias, Palpatines, Idens, and Lukes, 3 Grand Inquisitors, 3 Chariots, 3 Cassians, 1 IG-88, and 1 Hera. Once again, no Jyn Erso represented in these Swiss events. We're going to go into the top cut here, taking a look. We did have, I apologize if I get this name incorrectly, Ithel Arki winning the bracket here with their Iden Versio build, managing to pick off, let's see, we can just do this here, managing to pick off all Boba Fett's all across the board. So congratulations there. Lost their first round and submarined all the way back up to the top. We can here take a look at this list, this Iden Versio list. This is an item blue deck, which is item vigilance deck, which has become very popular as of late because you want to get those extra options to be able to put those extra experience tokens on your Charlatans, utilize more vigilance cards without having to worry about the aspect penalty, and then having most of your off aspect stuff being tech choices. So we have here Iden at the Dagobah Swamp. I would have picked Capital City, but you do you. 3 Inferno 4, 3 Regional Governor, 3 Lieutenant Charlatan, 2 System Patrolcraft, 3 Cargo Juggernaut, 2 Count Dooku, 3 Avenger, 2 Restock Mainboard, 3 Make an Opening, 3 I Am Your Father, 3 Power of the Dark Side, 3 Vigilance, 3 Takedown, 3 Search Your Feelings, 3 Vanquish, 3 Super Laser Blast, 3 Entrenched, and 2 Devotion Mainboard. Our sideboard is 1 copy of Restock, 3 copies of Spark of Rebellion, excellent choice there, 3 copies of Galactic Ambition, and 3 copies of Relentless. I imagine the Galactic Ambition is specifically there to help you bring in your Avengers if you need them early, or the Relentless to prevent your opponents from moving your own stuff in the control matchup. So, and especially considering the fact that this is going to cost you 11 normally, would only cost you 7 plus the 9 damage to your base for that. I think that's actually pretty good tech. In terms of the main board choices, Restock is the obvious thing, so you can loop your Vigilances and annoy the hell out of your opponent the entire game. The rest of this is kind of just your average Iden deck. Charlatan gets a lot of power here because in your main deck, you've only got 5 cards total that won't give you an experience token with Charlatan. So he can be a big beefy sentinel that can block your opponent's units in aggressive base matchups. And even the mid-range matchup has a hard time dealing with this. This is a very interesting deck style. I like the off aspect choices of Spark of Rebellion. Even though that's expensive, it still strips a card mid to late game. This is definitely for the control matchup because you don't want your opponent controlling your stuff. You can get rid of that key Avenger, the key Vigilance, the key piece of removal, or the Super Laser Blast if you're ahead and you've got a bunch of units on the board, which you generally don't, but that's how that is for this. Iden Vigilance takes it with not an undefeated record, but still pretty darn good. We have here taking a look. Let's take a look at this Boba Fett list that was beat in the finals. This is a Boba Command deck. We have here 3 Greedo, 3 Crafty Smuggler, 2 Viper Probe Droid, 1 Cartel Spacer, 3 Boba Fett, 3 Super Laser Technicians, 2 Consortium Star Vipers, 2 7th Fleet Defenders, 2 Gamorrean Guards, 3 Bosk, 2 Steadfast Battalion. Interesting. 3 Fett's Fire Spray, 3 Vader, 2 Recruits, 2 Shoot First, 3 Surprise Strike, 3 Resupply, 3 Waylay, 2 Cunning, 3 Overwhelming Barrage, and then the sideboard of 2 No Good to Me Dead, 1 Emperor's Legion, 1 Consortium Star Viper, 1 7th Fleet Defender, 1 Traitorous, 2 Reinforcement Walkers, and 2 Relentless. I'm seeing Emperor's Legion actually be increased in Boba Fett decks as of late because there'll be turns where your opponent blows up your board, or even in the mirror when your opponent overwhelming barrages stuff, you can bring back to your hand a lot of what you lose with Emperor's Legion as long as that's not your leader that you're losing. The 2 Recruit main board we've been seeing for a while. Reinforcement Walker and Relentless is a great sideboard tech. Main boarding some of these Star Vipers really helps in that aggro matchup against Sabine because you can take out those space units with this and gain some life back if you have the initiative in combination with Energy Conversion Lab to ambush that out. No Good to Me Dead sideboard is very interesting. Cunning mainboard, also very interesting. I understand playing this for 6 is a very good play. I think I'd probably just run Cunning sideboard and No Good to Me Dead mainboard because being able to No Good to Me Dead your opponent's leader is just too good of an option game 1 to be able to really limit what your opponent can do with their different cards. So second place here for Chris Anderson. Congratulations. And that is ultimately it for the second event. Our final UKGE Star Wars Unlimited convention effect took place on Sunday, June 2nd. This was a Swiss-only event. There was no top cut here, and it did have 115 players. It only says 114. I don't know what happened with that last person. But looking at top 8 here, we had 2 undefeated players, as well as 6 5-1s. 5-1 managed to break out where several people did not make the top cut because they bubbled out due to their percentage of opponents win and opponents. Metagame wise, we have 26 Boba Fett's representing a little over 1/5 of the total field at half win percentage, 17 Sabines, 15 Hans, 14 Idens, 9 Leias, 9 Krennics, 8 Vaders, 5 Palpatines, 4 Tarkins, 3 Lukes, 2 Grand Inquisitors, 1 Hera, 1 Cassian, and our first Jyn Erso in the list, managing to go 3-2 before dropping in the last round because they knew they were mathematically eliminated at that point. I know what that feels like. Props to the person that chose to run Jyn. No Chewies in this run here, but we did have Hera come back with a vengeance. However, only a 2-3 result there. Big Sag. Anyway, we'll take a look at these top two decks that managed to go 6-0 and what they ended up going against. So we're going to start with DBry Gaming over here in their 6-0 event, 6-0 running here, managing to play Darth Vader, Dark Lord of the Sith to an undefeated record, going up against Boba Fett in the first round with a win, Sabine, Boba Fett, Han, and then taking up Iden and Boba in these final Swiss rounds here, 5 and 6. Looking at the deck list, this was Vader Command build, running 3 Death Star Stormtroopers, 3 TIE Fighters, 3 Piets, 3 Viper Probe Droids, 3 Snowtrooper Lieutenants, 3 Cell Block Guards, 3 Super Laser Technicians, 1 Fifth Brother, 2 Imperial Interceptors, 3 Ruthless Raiders, 3 Darth Vaders, 3 Reinforcement Walkers, 2 Palpatines, 3 Force Chokes, 3 Resupplies, 3 Open Fires, 3 Overwhelming Barrage, 2 Vader's Lightsaber, and 1 Traitorous, with the sideboard running 3 Yularans, 1 Imperial Interceptor, 2 Bombing Runs, 1 Relentless, and 3 Devastators. So this is the big, just punch you in the face with big stompy units as much as possible. Try to ramp up with the Super Laser Technician and Resupply to get Vader. No Energy Conversion Lab. We're deciding to go with Echo Base instead, so that way you can get that extra health on board and not be susceptible to quick wins against aggro. I think that's a very good choice. Mainboarding the Reinforcement Walkers, especially with the Piets, fantastic idea, because that can ambush and effectively, if your opponent has a unit on the board, give you 6 health recovery total, and that's how you survive those long games. And then with Relentless and Devastator in the sideboard, same thing can happen. You have that Vader. If Vader can pull Piet on your next round, you play the Walker, the Relentless, or the Devastator. That is just such a backbreaking move that your opponent very rarely can recover from. Fantastic deck construction. Love it. Vader is one of the characters that I really want to get into playing, but ultimately can't really find a build that makes me happy. I think this build looks very good, but it doesn't run as many Force units as I would want to run, so hopefully set 2 can give us a couple of extra cool things outside of what we've seen already that can make my dream of a Force deck come to fruition. So congratulations to DBry Gaming on that #1 placement. However, we do have another player here, and his name is Howie on Emperor Palpatine Galactic Ruler, running Palpatine Vigilance, managing to take out a Luke Skywalker, Leia, Director Krennic, Sabine Wren, Boba Fett, and Han Solo, all the way to the top of the top in this event. Deck list, we have here Palp on Dagobah Swamp. Again, I would choose Capital City, but we have 2 Colonel Yularen, 2 Regional Governor, 2 Viper Pro Droid, 3 Emperor's Royal Guard, 3 Super Laser Technician, 3 Death Trooper, 3 Consortium Star Viper, and then a big jump in unit cost. 3 Darth Vaders, 2 Reinforcement Walkers, 2 Avengers, 1 Devastator, 1 Restock, 3 Resupply, 3 Power of the Dark Side, 2 Make an Opening, 3 Vigilance, 3 Takedown, 1 Vanquish, 3 Super Laser Blast, 3 Entrenched, and 2 Traitorous. Mainboard, sideboard running 1 copy of Restock, 3 copy of Devotion, 2 copy of Spark of Rebellion, 3 copies of Relentless, and sideboarding that 3rd copy of Avenger. This build is built to do what the Item Versio and Darth Vader control builds really do, where you run a low amount of units to be able to kind of hold your opponent back for the moments, being able to deal most of the damage and trump them from being able to do important things. Yularen gives you the heals, Regional Governor locks out key cards, Viper Probe Droid allows you to see what's in your opponent's hand, Emperor's Royal Guard in combination with some of these other officials gives you a big fat Sentinel because you are Emperor Palpatine. Super Laser Technician is your ramp, Death Trooper is for the extra damage, Consortium Star Viper controls space, and then your big game enders are Vader, Walker, Avenger, Devastator, along with some of the other stuff. So if you Super Laser Blast before Emperor Palpatine comes out, sure, you could potentially lose the when deployed, but it also clears the board so that way you can stop your opponent from doing things. The idea, I believe, is using these entrenched upgrades to stop space, keeping your ground forces in to protect your base from being destroyed, and then using the basic control stuff like Vigilance, Takedown, Power of the Dark Side, Make it Opening, so on and so forth. Traitorous to steal key 3 cost units, and there you go. Control matchup defenses are Spark of Rebellion, Relentless, Devotion for that extra restore, and then Restock to cycle back your things. Again, to cycle back Vigilance to make your opponent's life an actual nightmare. But there you go. Howie also with 6-0 on the day. Congratulations to both players on your 6-0s. Congratulations to D-Bry Gaming for the ultimate win. Again, no top cut, but that's okay. It's a Sunday. Everybody wants to go home. But congratulations to all the players who did get wins. Great job to all the grinders out there trying to get your wins and get in there. We had effectively 4 distinct winners in 3 events, because I consider both of these sharing the win rather than having one person be above the other because of the records. Playing Star Wars cards, everybody is the winner. And there you had it. Discussion of the 3 different events, lots of different decks to go over. I'm still a little hyped about that Hera being able to go as high as she was. I believe that was a 5-2 at the end of the day. At 15th place, if it was a top 16 cut, they could have at least tried their best to be able to get in there and get a win from that point on. But congratulations to all the winners. Congratulations to all the deck builders being able to do their fun stuff and go forward. Like I said, the Brits like their Boba Fetts. Boba Fett represented across every single day. They were one of the first. The Twickenham event was one of the first events that really gave us significant standings towards the way that metas are shaping up. And while we did see the Vader green non-epic action base, we saw Iden blue, we saw some other fun stuff out there. Sabine Cunning being able to get some results, being able to get some high level play in there. Boba Fett still kind of runs the meta out there in England, and even though it only won one of the 3 events, it still had the highest representation across all of the decks played each and every single day. So what does that mean for us going forward? Boba Fett's still probably one of the easiest decks to put together and the easiest decks to play. I know that it still has a bunch of legendaries in there, but if you can get a hold of those legendaries, you can run a very effective deck that has a very high win percentage against most of the decks you're going to be facing in the meta. You just have to get better on the play and be able to do those different things. Thankfully, Boba Cunning is also just as good as Boba Command, so we can see at least some differentiation. And there is a Boba Vigilance deck that's on the rise, pure control. Again, just make your opponent hate their life. And that seems to be the way to win the game these days. So once again, congratulations. Thank you very much to the tournament organizers. I believe this was organized play event for utilizing Limitless TCG, which is normally a Pokemon thing, but they do have Star Wars Unlimited results there. So that's fantastic. Very easy to get these deck lists. Really professionally run events. I like it a lot. No stream coverage as far as I can tell, but if I find out later that there was, I'll try to link it in the description below or in a comment. But this was fantastic, really fun to go over these. It's been a while since I've done that. Once again, thank you OPE for running these events at UKGE. Congratulations to everybody who was at these events and did well. And you know what? Congratulations to everybody who was at the events anyway, even if you didn't do well. Because playing Star Wars cards is supposed to be the fun of the game. And this is a fun game, but also a hard game. And that's all we have. So we're done. Thank you for joining me, everybody. Remember to like and comment on the video, subscribe to the channel for all of your Star Wars Unlimited needs. You do have ways to support me at these different things. You know how to do that. Thank you very much for joining me, everybody. We'll see you on Wednesday for another Shadows of the Galaxy preview review. And with that, I will see you in the stars.